the economy by them or anyhow. I mean, it's strictly economic factors, either Russia-Ukraine war or post-COVID-19 issues that have happened. Do you believe that these are the factors that is causing this serious economic woes?
Okay, thank you very much for having me on your show. I must confess, when I was called to come on the program, I was excited, and I'm particularly impressed with the number of young people who are beginning to show interest in our politics these days. I believe that it is very, very crucial to our very survival, and so it's a good job you are doing
Thank you
here.
very much.
Also, with regards to our current economic woes, like you've said, we listened to the president, His Excellency
Yeah.
Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, give a speech on what the current state of the economy is and certain things that he wished to do. I mean, many people were very disappointed in the fact that he could not take up any responsibility
Yeah.
for the hardship we are currently facing, and it was all over the place. You could tell. But I often say that one of the good qualities of a good leader is the ability to own up when there is a problem. That if it might be that you didn't even cause it, but you own it up and then you look for a way to solve
Yeah.
it. And in this case, when the data and the facts and everything points to the fact that you contributed to, largely to the situation we currently find ourselves in, it would have been gracious on his part to at least, because of course, I think it's about time that politicians realize that the kind of population they are dealing with has recently changed a lot. And as well, they are very young people who are equally intelligent and are able to decipher information. They are able to read and, appreciate data for themselves. The debates of whether or not COVID-19 is what has caused the total subsidence of our economy has been, belabored by experts and talked about. And it is obvious that even COVID-19 gave us a lot of money to the tune of about 33 billion Ghana cedis. And we have still not been able to account for these monies. And besides that, levies on COVID is still being taken,
About 1% or so.
Yeah, and then when we talk about Russia-Ukraine war, many experts has talked about this issue. What is, for instance, the example most of them use is the price fuel increment we are currently seeing. So, and then they point at three main things that causes that comes together to form the price of fuel. And then in the analysis, they mention the CD, the forex. They mention the world price, and then they mention taxes. And so currently, we are all aware that the price of a barrel of oil is about $93 per barrel, as it has been for some time. It was, I think, around the COVID time, it went up a bit, and then now it's back. And we are still seeing daily and weekly increase in the in fuel prices. So it should tell us that the 2 points, that is the CD depreciation plus the taxes put on the fuel, is what is driving the price. And so I believe that that excuse has actually, outlived its time. I think the president and those in power should accord us some respect and see that we are smart people and come out, identify the issues, as it is. And I always say, if you look at the Ghana Statistical Service data that was brought out, you will notice that Ghana is a fairly young population. And so when you're taking certain decisions that is affecting the population, you are literally affecting the young people in this country. And like Africa, we are supposed to, develop faster because we have the human resources, we have the manpower
Yeah.
to build our country. But it's rather unfortunate we are not, seeing all of that. I will point to a few things that since this government came, did that I personally believe that was somehow an attack on the young people of this country.
Right.
Recently, I came across a research that was done by one
Is that think tank?
Ben S. Banank and Douglas and Philip Dybvig. It was on economic sciences. And then I think 10th July 2022, recently they received a Nobel Prize for that research. And in that research, you find out that they actually talked about financial sector cleanup, the collapse of banks in a struggling economy, and one of the reasons for which they were even awarded that Nobel Prize was that they have discovered that collapsing banks, because some of them had defaulted, was not a proper way to go about things. And I believe this research was available, for the longest time. And we have been talking about the fact that I went to the University of Ghana. Always, year in, year out, we are writing theses, we are having research, and it's collecting dust on shelf. So what kind of research went into the bank collapse? And these are some of the repercussions we are seeing today. That was the biggest attack on young people in this country, because if you check within that, the number of young people who lost their jobs, the number of young people who now had to dip their hands into their savings, purchase vehicles, and become Uber drivers. Not to demean Uber drivers, or not to say Uber driving is not a good source of income. But then, if the people who were found wanting in these instances were isolated and dealt with, and then, as it is alleged, the 9 billion that the banks needed to stay afloat was given, instead of using 25 billion to close those banks.
I mean, just because you mentioned the bank collapse, is it not the case that most of these workers at the banks were absorbed when they had the consolidated banks? Because I have people who were working at Ghpage Capital then and are still with CBG. I have a lot of people. It was the people were they not absorbed by the government?
Not all of them.
Okay. So some were laid off.
Yeah, a lot of people got laid off. I personally know a manager of one of the banks. I would not mention his name, but he was laid off, and not just him. I used to sell a lot, and so I used to move around. And I sell to bankers a lot because I go there and then they pay.
One of the reasons they gave, and because you named the bank collapsing of the banks as one of the major attacks on young people in Ghana as a whole, I would also want to find out, is it not the case that these banks, some of them, the minimum capital requirement to establish banks, some of them did not have, they ought not to operate? How do we legalize an illegality?
So I am,
for example, if a 600 million Ghana cedi and you have on paper 6 million, but in natural sense it's just 200 million Ghana cedi, do we allow you to operate an illegality as a nation?
So I think it is part of the things I am addressing currently.
Very well.
And because I am not a technical person in the banking sector, I will work with the data that has been provided to us. What was provided to us
by the independent research people, right?
What was provided out there, and it hasn't been rebutted, was that the banking system, those banks needed a total of about 9 billion to stay afloat.
Okay.
But government decided not to bail them out. 9 billion.
Ghana cedi.
Yes.
Ghana, okay.
And then decided to, clean up the system with 25. And I'm telling you that
25 billion.
Yes, a current research, which has actually won a Nobel Prize, is saying that decision.
Their research on Ghana.
No, their research on world economies.
Okay, so some of their research won the Nobel Prize, not
that's
the Ghana.
No, that's particular research
about Ghana's banking sector.
Banking sector is banking sector, whether Europe, Africa, so there are things that are common to, like, it's a banking sector. There have been countries, and Ghana is not the first country to have faced a problem like this. I read an article, it was in the US, a time where there was a struggle like that. They were bailed out, and then they put in
people.
I asked you this question on behalf of the young people that are watching us, so they get to understand the delivery you're giving, which is well researched. We like
besides,
that.
I believe that this banking sector cleanup thing, is a point that has been talked about by many people, economists, many experts, and all. And I am not even the one to go through it.
My
I am
question,
trying to draw our attention to the fact that that exercise alone cost many young Ghanaians their employment, their source of livelihood, and the fact that most people were pushed into private sector. Why am I even driving to this direction? There's this notion out there, and you see, I understand many young people. For many young people, politics is a no for them, because, like I said the other time, today when you listen to some of the things that is being discussed on TV, it's like inflicting pain to yourself.
It's true.
You sit down and you think, why are people taking these decisions?
Make policies unattractive to
And in
people.
all of this, it is your future that is being endangered.
So then a lot of young people, as I expect, have become numb and
going into their corners. So you hear people say that, I am just going to stay on course and work hard, and and this whatever government does not affect me. I am trying to open young people's eyes to the fact that if you refuse to actively partake in the politics of your country, you are the one who will bear the most painful, repercussions of decisions that are being taken. You understand me? So perhaps now you are not in the place of leadership, but if you are close to the people and you're adding your voice, it will be able to inform policies, certain policies that at the end of the day will affect your life. And I would add, when I was on Legon campus, and I was on Legon campus for like 6 years, we used to do business on my floor. A lot of people had businesses, and the University of Ghana is like a whole community, a whole country on its own. The amount of money that moves in and the businesses that goes and come out is enormous.
Right, Ajah.
And certain economic decisions affect us.
It's true.
Fuel price increments affect us. So people sit there and say, if Ghana's debt is at a staggering 522 billion today, how does that affect
your pocket on campus?
If inflation is at 37%, how does that affect me?
I'll come back to you so you can conclude on that aspect. So if you've just joined us, this is your most authoritative youth analysis program you can find across Africa. Those who are watching us outside Ghana, in all the African countries, please add the country code 002335485037999 so that we can be able to help you understand all the issues that we're having at the moment. I'll be going straight to the gentleman here in the studio to help us discuss. And I like what Ajay is saying. Now, if young people do not get involved in the socio-political activities of our country, we are the majority in terms of the statistics of population ratio. So we get the most affected by all of these things. So it's important you stay tuned and you also keep get all these facts we're giving you right. Now, Senior, Ghana's economic woes, who do you blame? Add your voice as a young person.
I would like to greet our viewers out there. Good afternoon to all our viewers.
Very well.
You see, Richie, according to the age structure of Ghana demographics, it states from between the ages of 0 to 14 years, they represent 37.44%.
Give me that fact again.
Between the ages of 0 to 14 years,
okay,
they represent 37.44%.
Okay.
Then 15 to 24 years, they represent 18.64%. Adding these two percentages will give you 56.08%.
And even per our laws, the youth definition in Ghana is between 15 to 35. So if you move the above was and added, we're about 60%, as she said.
Yes. So let's stick to this. This gives you 56.08%. I believe the figure here gives us the opportunity as youth to sit on this show and also contribute our ideas and our quota to this whole discussion. Richie, fast forward. Somewhere April 2020. We're in this country where we had our colleagues. As a youth myself, I happen to be a student. So I'm much centered on the youth who are students because we are really feeling it. Somewhere in April 2022, we were in this country when we had about 6,000 students of KN University were at the risk of being dropped out.
They were dropped out.
Yes.
Yes.
But it took the interventions of other
Student leaders.
to come in.
Yeah.
That was in April 2020. Fast forward, we are in October 2020, and it seems our current state or the economic woes of the country has worsened.
We're in October 2022.
2022, which most academic calendars or most people in other institutions, they are very privileged that they are on vacation. 2023 academic year will be starting somewhere
January, yeah.
And looking at the current economic woes we find ourselves, which let's think about 2023. Even in April, 6,000 students.
Yeah.
Were at the risk. You even said they were even dropped out of school. So let's think about January 2023. Our problem, it seems you are not finding remedy to our problem.
So we should think about it, that what will happen in 2023.
2023.
So that
from where I'm sitting, if serious measures are not put in place, I was privileged to watch the address of the president this Sunday. The former president of the country, John Dramani Mahama, also addressed the country on the 27th of October 2022. These two leaders, let's compare. Our current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has been privileged to be in office for 6 years. The former president was so privileged to be in office for 6 years. Right now, it's evident during the address of the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he stated clearly that Ghana finds itself in a deep economic crisis.
He said Ghana finds itself just as other countries. He gave an example of other countries, the situation they find themselves.
But one thing I like is that the president was honest, and he himself admitted
that the world is in crisis.
Yes. The former president, John Dramani Mahama, when he gave his speech on the 27th of October 2022, he also admitted. So these two leaders are admitting it. And the prices, Richie, the prices are there to support or buttress these facts. Just this morning, I learned a liter of diesel is now 23.49.
Bro, it's not easy.
Petrol, 17.99. These are coming from Go.
Yeah. And Go offers the lowest prices here.
You get my point. When I was coming here, I checked $1 equates 14 Ghana cedis.
Hey, it has moved from the 13.40.
It depends on where you are.
Okay, but then let's use the Bank of Ghana rate. Bank of Ghana rate, why you put don't respect it? Why you put doing this to us? Bank of Ghana says it's 13.09 or something like that. Hey.
But other sources, most of the sources keeps giving 14 Ghana cedis. Richie, these all add up to the fact that we the youth, as my sister,
the center cannot hold.
Yes, as my sister stated earlier, Ghana has a youthful population, which is evident, which we have all agreed and acceded to that fact. And it seems, according to a research, let me bring this research inside. According to a research conducted by the Trading Economic Global Macro Models, they said by the end of 2022, Ghana, the unemployment rate in Ghana is expected to reach 4.80%. Unemployment rate in Ghana is expected to reach 4.80% by the end of 2022.
No, we will have an increase of it, or that is the ratio.
Currently, it's 13.6.
13.6.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So they are saying they'll have a 4% increment, right?
Increment, yes.
Because it cannot be
4.8 increments by the end of 2022. This is a country where we find ourselves in November. This is 1st November, right? How many days to December? Richie. And per the address of both our leaders, John Dramani Mahama came to give ideas. The president has also given his ideas.
Well, what are the two ideas you picked from John Dramani, His Excellency, the former president?
One thing, the former president.
And please, this is very important. As young people, anytime these two great leaders of our country are addressing, we need to pick points. We don't do politics on this show. We have to analyze all of these particular statements and pick notes from it. Okay, not just the gobe and the sikampe the noise that young people are making on social media. They said more than that. So we have to really get to understand how things are really going.
Richie, according to our former president, John Dramani Mahama, he says stabilizing the currency, cutting the import bill and job creation. He said we should create more jobs and we should cut the import bill. Per the address of our president, he said we are going to IMF. And per the negotiations we will have with the IMF, is going to help stabilize
about $3 billion to be injected.
And you see, one thing I like is that we are all feeling the heat. That's why today, or that's why as of 2022, we have the most of the majority MPs in Parliament.
Some say those are the people, those are MPs that have been neglected by the party, so they already have a caucus. It's alleged that they are already not happy.
What matters here?
Did you find any MP who is a minister who has appointment part of the press conference? No. That's what they are asking.
But what happens here is they form part of the majority.
Of course, they do.
They form part of the caucus.
Yeah.
We have some people calling for the Minister of Finance to be sacked. This means we are all in it. Even their very own MPs are calling for.
Yeah, they are feeling the heat. They've realized it's not up to task.
Because when you for them, some of them are fortunate that when they move to go, at least they don't pay anything. But even with these people, they are fighting for the finance minister to be sacked. Because
okay, let me ask you and Adjoa this question. Adjoa, in Belgium, citizens were on the street demonstrating. We saw videos, economic hardship in Belgium. In France, we saw on the street people demonstrating. In Germany, Frankfurt, people were demonstrating. Ghana, I'm sure there's a demonstration that's about to be happening in November or so. Are we not, as young people, are we not just over blaming everything on our government rather than facing the real situation of the world economic crisis? Nobody is smiling. Adjoa.
Okay. So I will say this should be what's the word? Two things that I believe is contributing to this. First, fear.
Fear, yeah.
Among the youth.
Yeah.
You know, and we've watched a lot of countries burn themselves up in the quest of trying to look for good,
uprising and stuff,
you know, for themselves. A lot of people have certain lives today that they believe that it is better to manage it than to, you know, lose it completely. And secondly, young people, I'm seeing something among young people that we call learned helplessness. Yeah, so where you have been stressed so much, you have been subdued, brutalized, you have been, you know, bitten by life and everything.
You're right.
So much that
no young person is smiling.
Yeah,
we are all angry.
You are not even nothing surprises you anymore.
You have nothing to lose at this point because you've lost it all.
CD within 10 months, CD has depreciated by 62%. You say, okay. Many, like I said before, many young people are already tired of the narratives, of the speeches, the flowery speeches, of the talk without action.
Is a change of government going to solve this? Because UK, United Kingdom, Great Britain has recorded their highest inflation in about 30 years. It has never happened before. Is it something that change of government? And how many prime ministers have they changed within a space of about 6 months? About 3 or 2? Is a change of government going to solve the situation, Adjoa?
I believe a change of government will solve the situation.
The person will solve the global economic issues, that Ghana will be different?
But by sitting here and saying that, oh, I don't think a change of government will, you know, change the situation, it's like admitting that, okay, then there's nothing that can be done, okay? We are not at the mercy of nature. We are humans, we think. And so we can evolve, we can grow, we can do better. It is never true that if we allow one person to sit at the presidency, it is better because a change of government will do nothing. And I've seen that circulating. And we don't have proof to back that assertion. If it is true that a change of government was not necessary, we wouldn't be practicing democracy. It should have been a one-party state or a monarchy.
Yeah. See now, before I come to you, or let me just come straight to you so that you add your voice on what Adjoa is saying. Adjoa thinks that change of government would be able to save the situation in a way. My question to you is that we have two major political parties in Ghana, the MPP and the NDC. The alternate power, party we have would be the NDC. Somebody says, or people are arguing, most young people, if you check on social media and stuff, are saying that, like you said, 6 years of His Excellency former President John Mahama. Yeah. Yes, we had agriculture at some point growing in the negative we have our economy at some point not doing very well. We had, even though not to this limit, we had our CD giving up to the dollar at some point. We all came to the point where $1 was one CD in President Kufuor's time, and we all saw how the genesis has become. Now, these two political parties, are we not tired of them? Or you think the second coming of John, His Excellency, the former president, would help save this situation?
Okay, thank you very much, Richie. In the first coming of the former president, John Dramani Mahama, he came with the mantra, a better Ghana agenda.
No, that was his boss, his former president.
So he continued with it.
Of course.
Our current president, he also came with the mantra, Ghana beyond aid. Richie.
He said many things. Ghana knew here my yetisikations or common there. Ghana mododo. We are never going to IMF.
But you see, Ghana beyond aid was the main mantra. Let's say he said a lot of things. You see, politicians, they say a lot of things. But we all look.
In fact, Ghana beyond aid was in the middle of his governance. He made those proclamations. But the build up to the 2016 election, he had something, agenda something. He had a goal for the manifesto.
Okay, sure. I believe currently we went to the polls not long ago, 2020.
2 years ago.
Yes, 2 years ago. For me, I don't believe a change in government right now will be of help.
As a young person, this is your voice.
This is my voice and this is my stance. Because Richie, I think 2 years right, we are post-COVID era. That's what they say, post-COVID era. When you go to UK right now, the economy is in recession, just as you said. 30 the West
over 30 years. The West inflation
since 30 years. I believe most countries are feeling it, and that shouldn't be just an excuse to justify what we are also facing here. I believe our leaders should be up and doing. Our president on Sunday addressed the nation. He gave some steps. He said this.
Are you sure? What steps did you hear?
He said we are going to IMF.
And we know that already.
By the end of November. He said by the end of November, meaning he has started something. I believe in
the IMF will solve Ghana's economic
That's
problems.
what he said. That is what the president said.
When more than the $3 billion had been used for several initiatives and projects, it couldn't solve any issue. And are you aware that per the numbers of one district, one factory the government is giving us, if that cannot help the economy, $3 billion can help the economy.
Richie,
if people are being employed to this one district, one factory, if this one district, one factory is producing like what they are touting to be producing, don't you think we should be better off than an IMF $3 billion, just $3 billion?
The president said he's in for $3 billion from IMF. And on Sunday when he addressed us, he said clearly that the IMF program will help support, implement our post-COVID programs. He said all these things. And he said by the end of November, he believes negotiations will be done.
Yeah.
I believe in giving someone room. He said these things.
Yeah.
We are in this country from November till December till January. It's not far. So after January, or let's say somewhere in January, and we see that our problems are still worsening, then we can come back and have this conversation. But until then, let's wait and go with his ideas or the solutions he's proposing.
Okay. So when I said we needed a change of government, let me put it on record. I didn't mean by force or anything. Of course, we are in a democratic country, so we wait till elections before we are able to appoint our leader. And like you rightly said, by the first 5 years of this government, we had receipts of Eurobonds alone amounting to about $13.7 billion. Just Eurobond. Other borrowings are not part of it. And we keep asking, how much did COVID give us? About, like I said, 33 billion. And we've had tax revenues, around 57 billion cedis. And according to, and when you talk, they tell free education, but according to Honorable Ken Oforiatta himself in Parliament, he said we've expended about 7.5 billion on free education in the last 5 years. They are yet to give account for. So do the deductions and see the amount of money. This government is one that has
come into more money than any government ever.
Is it not the case that as government is a continuous process? Now, obviously, 1 cedi in 2012 will not be a value of 1 cedi. You need about 3 cedis. So obviously, that's why they themselves, and I'm happy you are saying that they've received a lot of money and borrowed a lot of money. That's why from Kwame Nkrumah's time to President Kufuor's time, the monies the NDC had borrowed in 8 years was more than all those governments put together. It's the same as it's happening here. Are we not being unfair to these politicians as values of money always increases?
No, not at all. The problem here right now, currently, is not even necessarily that they borrowed, although right now our current
debt stock,
they have contributed like 80% of that. The problem for young people, I believe, is not the fact that they borrowed money. Because like Osajifo said, if you borrowed money and you build infrastructure and you invest in strategic areas of the economy, you cannot call that even debt. You call them investments. I think what young people want to know is what our leaders do with the monies they are borrowing. Because like you rightly said, we are talking about one district, one factory. Ghana is importing tomatoes to the tune of $400 million from Burkina Faso. That is forex leaving our country. We are importing palm oil from Malaysia. We are literally importing everything into this country. And so what has these monies gone into doing for young people? Today, somebody was in power. Unemployment rate was at 6%. You said the person wasn't good enough. Today, unemployment rate is at 13.6. And these are young people who need jobs. And you see, it is okay if the public sector is choked and you cannot employ more people. Even the private sector, what have we done for cost of production? Cost of production is so high today. If you want to do business, the amount of taxes that you have to deal with, besides that import duty of items that we are using, and I have friends who are into shea butter production and packaging and all, you have to import these containers.
Very expensive.
They are expensive. The city is depreciating, also contributing to the struggles of young people. And it's reflected in the data we are collecting. And I've mentioned before, the current Ghana Statistical Service research that was done on young girls, okay? 80,000 of young women currently living with men or are married. You see, and when you interrogate the data, you realize that for most of them it's due to poverty. And people are struggling to, you know, survive. And like I was saying, when I was on campus, I used to have friends who were doing businesses, my male friends. They were importing cars, dented cars and fixing just to hold body and sew together. There were some of them who were importing from Turkey, shirts, shoes, and selling on campus. There were some of the girls who were selling shit. Today you can't even buy oil, you know. And those of us who were going to Togo, today what the city and the Sefa, like when you go and come back, I used to go to Togo to bring boxer shorts, panties to, you know, campus business. And today we can't. Students can't do that. You get it? And so when we talk about the fact, when we say that there's no need to change government, realistically, look at our voting history. Okay, look at, and people talk about we need a third force, and don't deceive yourself. Look at the data and let the data speak to you. These major parties, NDC, NPP, has been the parties leading at the polls all the time. Okay, and if this current government is not performing, we need to come together and then remove this government. And at least, like I said, we need to be interested as we are adding our voice to this. I hope it informs policy and everything. We need to remove the government when, you know, democratically bring in a government that was even performing better for us. Because at the end of the day,
you think NDC was performing better?
Of course, the data is reflecting it.
No, I mean, let's be fair. People are saying that the NDC never had post-COVID. They never had Russia, Ukraine. How do you do a fair analysis by comparing current economic figures with that of their time?
And I have just proven to you on this stage that COVID gave us a lot of money, which they have not even been able to account for. Plenty of money.
And just because purposes of national TV on records, we have Public Accounts Committee, we have members of parliament on the opposition side. they would be asking these questions if monies have been moved elsewhere. On record, we haven't seen. There's no record of any money stolen or gone anywhere of COVID-19 fund.
Yes, that is why it falls on us to call for accountability. And
So so such records, we can't say they've spent the COVID-19 fund. Can we?
I've not said they've spent the COVID-19 funds. I said they have not been able to account for it.
Okay, because they said that they've been using it. In fact, they gave aid, some of the vaccines. They did a lot of education.
And
even
so,
media budget for it wasn't a joke.
It doesn't matter what they use the money for. We just want to see what they used it for. You understand me? That is all we are asking for. I'm not accusing anybody of spending any money.
Because those records are in the media anyway. I mean, how the expenditure.
And what is the record? What is the expenditure?
For example, some was used for media engagement. Some was also
how
used
much
for,
of it was used for media engagement?
I think this is of public interest. They were on the Ministry of Education press briefing and gave updates on all the things expenditure that they've had.
Really, and then they allotted some money for public.
People may not be satisfied based on where they stand.
How much of the money has been? My questions are simple. The monies they collected to the tune of 33 billion. Okay. They should just account to us, because this is not the first time this is being raised.
If you say they were on the Ministry of Education to render accounts, the fact that maybe
they were on Minister of what?
Producer, if you can help me, that update. What? Yes, their press briefing they've been doing. During the COVID time, they brought a chief director of Ministry of Education. They keep bringing people. COVID-19 fund. The board, the trustees, they were there to render accounts on several occasions of what they've used the monies for.
And the entire 33 billion that was collected was accounted for. I am not very much aware of that. But I think, let me delve into more germane issues. Like I'm saying, in 2015, 2016, the world experienced a shock. That is the total fall in the price of oil on the world market.
More than COVID.
We cannot compare, because one is a pandemic, one is a problem. Okay, yeah. And as a leader, as His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was, I think that was when issues of Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta came for us to remove him. People brought the issue about Honorable Sir Tekpe, and I think that was some of the issues that even brought the ESLA fund, that brought the stabilization fund, the creation, that led to the creation of those funds to be able to cushion us. Okay? Governments have come, they faced problems. They have tackled it head on. Even those governments did not have external supports and external funds. They were still, nobody gave money to Ghana because price of gold had tanked, or prices oil.
Prices of gold and oil always is in a dwindling stage sometimes. Every government faces that, don't they? Prices of
which period since this government came have they experienced that?
There hasn't been global issues on oil prices going up and down.
And then that was around COVID, and then they were giving money.
The NDC, because I'm asking for young people.
They were giving money.
The former president never received aid during the 8 years of NDC.
Did we receive aid? Did the NDC receive aid because prices of gold tanked or prices of oil tanked? No.
Oh, okay. So the type of aid should be looked at.
You see, so and I've proven to you that Russia-Ukraine war currently is not the reason for which we are here, because
it should be
price of oil in the international market is still the same.
Ajo, I'm asking this because let's say a young person is watching us at home and says that, okay, he's been looking at the situation that is happening globally. For example, America and other governments are pushing and helping Ukraine with money and all of that. You have so I don't want to mention other countries who are also supporting Russia. Belarus is strongly with Russia and all of that. We all see what is happening. Cutting of trade agreement between sanctions all over, restricting countries to be self-dependent, especially with oil. A lot of things that are happening, economic issues that are happening. We all know what we import from Ukraine and stuff, which now we cannot. All of these situations that we are looking at, if the NDC was to be in power, our next alternative governors, you think Ghana would have been better off? Is that your case?
What are we importing from Ukraine, and how
let me get that for you. Ukraine, what Ghana imports
affected our country? All I am saying that we can delve into the personal interest of individual countries and the geopolitics in this war and everything. Okay, but the truth is that if you're saying that Russia-Ukraine war is what is affecting price increase in Ghana, in effect, what you are telling young people is that until Russia and Ukraine stop fighting, then there's no hope for us. Is that the case? Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Is that the case? So should we gather ourselves and go to Ukraine and fight against Russia so they can, you know, the war can be, you know, over? So before our life continues, as young people, is that the excuse we are willing to take from our leaders? You understand me?
Yeah, you're right. Let me read some few messages so that I come back to you. I just make a solid point too. You are enjoying the argument, right? Yeah. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Frank Kwanzaa, the National Secretary for Coalition of NAPCO Training. NAPCO training have not been paid for the past month too. Again, the government also promised permanent jobs, and those jobs were not provided. As I speak to you now, we have over 70,000 NAPCO trainees who are still at home unemployed. This government have really deceived the youth of Ghana. My brother, it's not easy. Okay. This one says that let Adjoa control herself and talk to us, please. Some of us are seeing her fully NDC too much. Sorry, my name is Jack. No, asking for a change of government, and they are the two major alternatives we have. So she
There's nothing wrong with being NDC.
Of course, but
there's nothing wrong with being
so you're NDC, yeah? Okay,
there's nothing wrong with
there's
being
nothing
NDC.
wrong. Adjoa says she's NDC. Let's go. Good afternoon. My name is Yakubu from Nungwazongo. The president Nana Addo keeps complaining that our problem is from Ukraine-Russia war. The Europeans are feeling the pain because their leaders refuse to import cheap Russia energy. But our problem comes within. The government is wasting a lot of cash on appointees. He should just cut down the size of his government. You are right. I thought this cutting of governor, the size would happen during the whatever that was announced. This one says that, please, I have something to say. I would be very happy if it is discussed on your show. I'll send a voice note. You didn't bring your name. Let's quickly look at text message, or let's say Facebook. Okay, I'm loading the Facebook. Senior, Adjoa makes a very brilliant point, and as host, I have to be the opposition and the whatever at the same time. What I want to ask you, and so that you add what you want to say, is that, bro, let's be very honest. As young people, are politicians the way forward, or we should become entrepreneurs?
You see, Richie, you cannot do away with politics. That's the obvious fact. Yeah. As young people, I believe we shouldn't focus too much on the politicians. But you see, one way or the other, the politicians will get us because they run the affairs of the country. And you can't say, I'm focusing on my business, because at the end of the day, the kind of decision the government makes, it directly affects your business. Fortunately for me, I sit
just
here.
In a space of 1 year, my office has been increased. Within 1 year, my office has been increased with extra 5,000 Ghana cedi.
As a concerned youth activist, I sit here to say that right now there are school fees by 2023, next academic year. It's likely that school fees will be increased by 50%. Already, students are facing the problem of hostel prices.
Bro, let me tell you something that is really shocking. In fact, I never thought as a young person I would really have anything directly to do with the dollar as of now. So I didn't think this mismanagement or whatever is happening would affect me until as a law student, I applied for Ghana Law School at Gambia. Gambia's admission has come. I've had admissions. I'm required to pay 50%, which is $4,000 out of 8,000. So as at the time the admissions came and I checked, the dollar was around 12 cedis. And the time they gave us to make the payments, I checked, the dollar was 15 cedis. So instead of paying about $30-something thousand, now as at the time I checked with the 50, we're paying over $60,000. Cedis, sorry. And you are supposed to open a dollar account, put the money, use a lot of Ghana cedi to buy the small dollar. And some banks tell you there's no dollar. And then I start feeling the heat. Hey, it is a castle.
Back to where I ended. The spike increments in the hostel prices. Richie, after you pay your school fees, after you are done with your hostel, there comes transportation. We all know transportations have been increased, right?
Yeah.
Right now, we are buying water, a sachet of water for 60 pesos. food, everything has been increased. Which, if you don't take care, by the year 2023, most students in the tertiary level will be forced to drop out because they cannot afford their school fees and their hostel prices. The hostel prices is a very serious issue because four in a room, people used to pay 2,000 Ghana cedi for four in a room. Right now,
right now, one in a room is how much?
They are moving for four in a room. Right now, they are moving to 4,000 Ghana cedis per head. Which these issues are becoming serious. What is the essence of someone going to a free SHS if the person cannot make it? If that person cannot make it into the university? But I still maintain my stance.
Right. As you are maintaining your stance, wrap up in 30 seconds for me. So I just to wrap up.
I still maintain my stance that currently we cannot change governments. The president has
not current. She didn't say currently. She's saying that when democratically opportunities present itself, we have to assess government, and per the assessment we are all seeing, this government in 2024, if an opportunity comes democratically, needs to be changed.
Richie, I believe in time and seasons. You see, there is a long way, at least 2 years to 2024. That's why I stated earlier that the president said the IMF negotiations will end somewhere in November. We are hoping that when finally the deal is completed, we will see our economic woes, at least we see the economy improving. But if it doesn't, then we can come back to the table and have a different discussion on what to do with the government.
I'll take your final words in 30 seconds, but please, as you are saying it, be careful. The president says he can't pay the day, so you calm down small for me.
Well, I would like to sympathize with the NAPCO people and also say that it's about time governments and politicians respect young people, and when you are given power to rule, you must be sure that you are fulfilling your promises and creating proper, measures to solve our problems, not ad hoc ones, and then when there's no elections, you have, tricked us. Also, I'd like to encourage young people, more young people, it doesn't matter on which side you are, to put our voice to build our nation. Because, I read this interesting theory, it's called the shark theory. It posits that you can never outlive your environment, and a shark normally, if it's put in a fish tank, can grow up to like 8 inches, and put it in an ocean, it can grow up to 2,300 kg in mass and about 4.9 meters long. And so whatever environment, never ever think that you can survive in this country, on your own without paying attention to what is going on around you. All the policies that are being taken affect you. And for most of my friends who are done with their degrees, decided to go into baking. Recently, we've seen on the markets the 600% increment in the price of flour, and a bag of sugar is now the price is high up there. Crate of egg, seeing an inflation of over 100%, and so you cannot live in this country and say that I do not want to concern myself with the politics of the country, when every decision directly or indirectly affects you as a young person in this country.
Right. Thank you so much. Any final words? Any greetings?
As Plato said, he said the penalty we pay for not participating in politics is that at the end of the day, our inferior governors. That's what Adwa said. We can't sit back as young people and say we are not interested in politics.
Right.
This is nation building. This is decision making, and you should actively participate.
All right, Adwa, that's all, I guess. You want to greet somebody or anything?
This football club, Ben J on Facebook. Yes.
Okay.
Hello, Evergreen Football Club.
Right. Thank you guys so much for coming. God bless you. It's good to be part of the show. We have to leave. Unfortunately. This was hey Jolly. This was, right. This is where time will permit us on another exciting edition of Youth Empowerment Television Show, the most authoritative youth analysis program you can find across the African continent. We shall be here tomorrow to do this for God and country. If you say a prayer, say something for me. Bye-bye.